1. What's up? Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is a special segment that we have going on. I know everyone's usually in for the Government Coins podcast, but we wanted to start putting out more information that's general business information to really help our business owners in our community get to that next level, right? So this one, we've gotten a question a lot about what happens if I win a government contract and I need some additional money, or I need the funds to help, complete this contract. So we brought on someone who's going to talk a little bit about loan types, eligibility requirements, and then also the application process for getting a loan for funding. So would you mind coming on and telling the people a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. First off, I just want to say thank you for even allowing me on your platform and sharing all of this information because it's definitely needed. I'm Tamara Lachey. I'm a commercial lender with Starbucks Capital, and I'm also a government contractor. So I completely understand where you guys are coming from and the needs of funding. That's actually one of the reasons why I became a lender, because we needed funding for ours. So I'm just so happy to be able to share this information with you guys.
Yes, so that was a huge thing. And I'm so sorry I forgot to mention that you were a government contractor as well. And most people know, most of the people who are on this podcast, they're either working for the government or they're government contractors. But I'm loving the fact that you mentioned you went out and learned the funding part because you really needed funding for your contract. So let's really get into that. Tell us a little bit about your business and also, how you actually, help businesses go through the process of getting funding.
Okay. So as a loan officer, I can provide a multitude of different products for business owners, whether that be short-term capital or long-term capital if you purchase something extremely large, like a building of some sort. So we can do the 30-year funding, as well as, 5 to 7 term loans to cover, small purchases or even large purchases because it goes up to about 400,000. So it really is key. And it's so many products available that we didn't realize we have access to. And I just wanted to make sure that everyone has a good idea of what to expect. So let me show you all just the different options. We'll go over briefly. Let's see, we have the business credit cards, the business term loans. There's also a lot of SBA funding out there for business owners. And usually you would think that SBA funding, it takes a while to kind of get a grasp of. But when you're a contractor, they expedite the process. They make it extremely fast because they understand the situation, they understand where you're coming from, and also where the funds are coming from. So it's a bit less risky. So they're very open to helping out all government contractors, especially small business owners, when it comes to getting that capital for completing their jobs or buying whatever tools or supplies they need to fulfill that contract. And for the larger things, we have equipment financing, lines of credit, and also invoice factoring. So
I was going to say, I think it's available for you to share your screen if you have something to share. Sure. But that's a huge component of it. Like I talked about government contracting being able to provide leverage when going after capital. So for you to say, that they expedite the process as well, because, they know your contractors and they understand what it's like. And basically they know this money is guaranteed. So the government gonna pay their bills because they got to operate.
Exactly. So a lot of our lenders that we use are very familiar with the process. They understand what the forms look like and the lingo. And that's always like the biggest problem when you go to a bank because they're so unfamiliar with it. So they're a little bit uneasy at first. And that's what we were coming across. We came into a lot of people who were open to it. They saw all of our finances and whatnot, but they were just like, I don't even know what government contracting is, so I'm not going to land on it. So that's why I was extremely happy to come across Starbucks Capital because they were just completely open to working with government contractors at every stage, whether they're a beginner or a very seasoned government contractor. So I can actually go over a couple of our options that we have available and where to find these funds. So commercial lending groups, just like Starbucks Capital, there are tons of them out there. that, of course, you may need to vet and check into their fees and whatnot, but there's a lot of commercial lending groups out there that are very open to doing short-term and long-term financing. And of course, your local credit unions and CDFI banks. I'm going to go more into depth what CDFI banks actually are and how they're like a great source of income and opportunity for contractors. But the huge difference I want to bring up is the difference between commercial lending and consumer lending. So what we're used to is consumer lending, where everything is attached to us. It's attached to our credit score, our pay stubs, and our income. Well, commercial lending is completely attached to the asset. It's completely attached to the cash flow of the business. So it makes things a lot more accessible for business owners because, life happens and maybe our credit isn't where it should be, or if we're buying things or moving, oftentimes for entrepreneurs, our credit goes up and down. And it's not really a great example of how well we take care of our finances because the algorithm is built how it's built. And sometimes it doesn't complement our lifestyle as entrepreneurs. So with commercial lending, because it focuses in on the asset and not us, it makes things so much more accessible. We look so much better on paper to lending institutions. So that opens the door for us a lot.
Okay, so the commercial side, this one, you're basically saying, I don't have to put this in my name. You don't have to run my personal credit. This is all tied to my business and what. So you're saying based on the asset, would the asset in this case be, what would the asset be if you're going after a contract?
So the asset is the contract. So once you secure it, that is it right there. And it can be a physical asset or the actual, procurement paperwork showing that you're going to get these funds in. That's all they need is something to solidify and to confirm that you're bringing in some sort of income. So yes, your contract can serve as your asset.
Got it. Okay. And for this one, would this strictly be with the commercial lending groups, or does this apply to all of the funding resources?
It applies to all. All these listed here have commercial lending. When it comes down to the credit unions and the CDFI banks, they kind of do both. So when you go in, you want to make sure you're talking to the commercial lender because the personal lending group will not understand this business model at all. This is not something that they are used to. And oftentimes that's who we're used to going to. But no, you need to speak to the commercial lender in that department.
Okay. So yeah, we definitely the consumer. I do go in and talk to them about raising my credit card limit. But on that same token, I love the fact that you really mentioned and hit that commercial side of it. 2 reasons. One, looking at it from the aspect of on the business side, like business being able to operate, but also commercial buildings and commercial spaces. So for these loans, would you be able to utilize these loans to purchase a commercial building?
Absolutely. Yes. So they focusing on that cash flow. So your tenants are already inside, let's say it's a strip mall. And you already have tenants already there. They're not going to look at your income. They're not going to look at you. They're going to look at how much money you're making off of these tenants. And if your building cost is much lower than what your tenants are paying you, that's a solid win right there.
I love that. So yeah, many people know, like I'm now moving into that commercial real estate side of it. So anything tied to and related to that, like understanding that your loan will be based on the cap rate of that particular building. So I kind of wanted to make sure I threw that in there too, in addition to the government contracting conversation. So let's talk a little bit more about like the different avenues of getting the funding, or the different type of loans that are available through these different.
So let's start with equipment financing. This is probably the most common with our guys that are doing any sort of procurement or buying like materials or things like that that are large value. For example, we had a government contractor come in and purchase, I want to say about 12 large size printers. And these printers were amazing. They did everything, but they were also expensive. So he came in with us to do a equipment financing loan. So with this, what I really love about this is that it has custom payment structures. So he would not get paid from this purchase for, I think it was 120 days. And we were able to delay his payments until I think we did 150 days just to confirm, just to make sure that he get those that funds in and everything was taken care of. So because he went this special route and he had that contract stating, his payment terms, we were able to work that in and work with him. So this one goes down to, 650 credit score. And there's also a lot of room when you have that government contract in your hand. I have seen lenders go down to 580 because the contract secured it all. So I really want to stress to not let numbers deter you, especially when it comes to your credit score. Just submit it anyway, contact us or contact a lender and explain to them your situation, because there are plenty more financing opportunities out there besides this equipment financing one. But it's definitely a great opportunity because it covers 100% of the material, the shipping costs, any interest that you accrue or anything like that. You wrap it all into this loan and get delayed payments. So it's a win-win all the way around. I absolutely love this product.
Got it. Okay. And for this one in particular, like you said, 650 to 670 to down to 650 credit score. Mm-hmm. And are there any other qualifications or requirements, like in terms of how long does your business have to be operating or anything like that?
It can be a brand new business. Yes, ma'am. As long as you are structured the right way. So having your Secretary of State registration and your articles, your EIN letter, and your SAMS registration, you're solid. Because that confirms that you are a legit business. Also in a business bank account, I'm sorry. So that confirms that you are a true entity. And we just need all of that information to process it.
Got it. Okay. Mm-hmm. And how long, so I see it now. I was going to say how long, but it's a 60-month financing terms for this particular equipment one. Okay.
And the average cost we see about is $150K, but we can go extremely larger. And that's just based off the factors. So of course the government contract, because especially if it's like a repeat buy, like we often have people come in and have multiple buys throughout their term. So we fluctuate that term based off of the terms of the contract.
Got it. So someone asks, basically, does Starbucks report to DNB and the big three as well?
Not to the big three, no. Starbucks is completely commercial based, so we don't do any personal reporting. It's all based off of your commercial assets. It doesn't report to your personal at all. I'm not too sure about it reporting to the business credit bureaus. I do know that it reports to your EIN if that counts, but when it regards to like credit safe and the Experian business, I'm not sure about it. I can find out, but I'm not.
Yeah, I think that'll be a big one because, in addition to utilizing the financing, it would be very helpful if you could build some credit or build your credit score on top of this as well. Leveraging government as having the government contract as the asset, and then being able to leverage this actual loan to build, to be able to provide you access to more capital. So I think that will be something great, and we can figure that out. I'll come back and we'll put it in the chat, or we'll do an update in the description box, just so you can see it, Julius. Okay.
All right, let's move on to our next couple. So invoice factoring is a huge option when it comes to government contracting. I wanted to bring this up. This isn't something that we offer, but I know it's a great opportunity. There are a lot of companies out there that do offer it. So for funding with government contracts, it would be huge because we have these invoices that sometimes they sit. And while they're sitting, we're not making any money. But we've also always made we spent the money to get the products out there. So while we're, working through these net terms, invoice factoring is a great way for you to go ahead and get the money that you need back in. So technically you're not borrowing the money. It's third-party financing. So they pay you the amount. And then once you get paid, those funds go directly to that third-party company. But with invoice factoring, I want to be completely transparent because there are a lot of fees associated with it. So when you look into this company, I want you to be very thorough when you're reading through everything. Pay attention to their discount rate or their factoring fees, and also all the startup fees, maintenance fees, processing, everything. Just look through everything clearly and make sure it makes sense. Put it all on paper, do the math, because this is just one option out there. There's so many others, but it's a great option if it makes sense for you. But just make sure everything makes sense for you on paper.
Got it. Okay, so invoice factoring. Now, definitely, I want to try to see if we can get someone to come in and who the company that actually provides those invoice factoring opportunities to talk a little bit more about this. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. See, so CDFIs, Community Development Financial Institutions, these banks, they have programs that their only goal is to serve distressed communities. So they provide funding at very low interest rates for people of color, for veterans, honestly, just when you're in rural areas in general. There are 2 links that I'd love to share. That's the original CDFI website that kind of goes over every institution in the country that has this program. So that's that first link right here. I'm not sure if you see this highlighted. So this link here, that goes over every program, every bank, in the country that has this. And I'll send this to you, Shakia, so you can send it out.
Perfect.
Yes. And the secondary link here I have is Bank of America. It goes into much more detail. So this little picture down here with the bank and the access to capital for entrepreneurs, the ACE program, this is how Bank of America has theirs outlined. And I think it's such an easy read compared to the other options. So it goes over the minimum loan amount you can get, the maximum loan, where you can get it from, and the actual website directly to that organization. So, and it is plentiful. I think there's over 100 CDFIs on this website for Bank of America. So them compiling it just made it extremely easy for us to read. So you have the source and also a simplified version of it that I want to share with you guys.
So the ACE would be at any Bank of America or any CDFI?
Any CDFI. So they do 68 counties. And so this one is just for Georgia.
Okay.
Got
it. Okay.
Yeah.
So Georgia. Okay.
Yeah.
So. Okay. Yeah. But in order to find the one in your local area, you would go to the cdfifund.gov awards. Right. Okay. Just want to get that clarification.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. It'll show you every CDFI bank throughout the entire country. So no matter where you are in the US, you can definitely find something that meets, your goals and find people to work with there. So, and like I said, their goal is to work with small business owners to raise capital and to get their contracts all taken care of.
Okay. Okay. What do we have? Do we have any more loan opportunities?
That's all I have for the loan opportunities for now, but I did want to go over the funding requirements. And it'll vary when you go to different institutions, but we're going to work with just Starbucks Capital's requirements now, just to give you an idea of what will be required. So the business credit cards are very simple. They just want the EIN letter and the articles of incorporation just to show that you're a legit business, because all of this is, again, all asset based. So all based off your business and the cash flow and whatnot, not anything related to you. Term loans, because they are a bit longer, they go from 5 to 7 years. We have a couple more that are actually a bit longer when you look into like the SBA products, they're a bit longer, but they go up to 10 years. But those will be those requirements for the term loans.
So now, did we go over the term loans? That was the first one, right? The very first one we went over? Yeah. Okay. Someone asked, do they run your social security number at all? Like, does anything have to be tied to your social security number?
It is a soft pull.
Okay. Got it. So there will be a soft pull.
Yeah, because they want to make sure that you're a responsible buyer and a responsible user of your credit, but for the most part, they don't scrutinize you or scrutinize your application based off of you. It's completely based off of your business.
Got it. Okay. And then the other question is, do you have to be a registered business within that state you're doing business with in order to get funding? Now, this is back to that CDFI question.
So that would really depend on the bank.
Okay.
In most institutions, I would say probably so. But it really does depend, because the CDFIs is not just banks, it's commercial lending groups. It's just like Starbucks Capital. There are plenty also that are CDFIs, because it's a very simple process to apply and get that accreditation. So it does vary. You have to go through and find banks in your area and ask that question.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, we're getting real good questions in on this one. So I got another one.
Good.
So she said, for example, her business is registered in Wyoming. Okay, this was an example for the question about states and doing business to get funding. So she's planning to move to Georgia since she's there mainly. So yeah, if you can prove, like you were saying, it depends on whatever bank it is, but if you can prove that you have a location in that area, right, and you're registered, even if it's as a foreign entity in that state, you should be able to do it that way. So
right, absolutely.
I'm dropping the link for the state awards in there for you, Maya, as well, just so you can go ahead and check that list out and click on the ones in there. So it's that the link that Tamara gave us is actually a searchable link, so all of the different states. So I just dropped it in the chat. So okay. And then you said, so Bank of America has its own CDFI list?
Yes, so they have compiled it all and made it extremely easy to read. That's why, so this little screenshot that I have at the bottom beside the bank picture came directly from the Bank of America website. So it's just it's easier on the eyes and it's easier to understand. And I love that they provide direct links directly to the funding institutions, how it has the website down here. So that link is about.bankofamerica.com.
Got it. Got it in there now.
Perfect.
Okay, perfect. There you go. Okay, someone says, what if you have a bankruptcy on your personal credit?
Let's see. Let's look, because I do remember bankruptcy being mentioned in the requirements for the CDFIs.
Got it.
Let's see. So I know this is a lot to read. I'm sorry, but I wanted to make sure that everyone got all.
No, we can let you go over this one. Let's go over this one, and then if the questions in there, let's see. Y'all, I'm so happy for this. She came in with a presentation and all. This was not expected. I promise y'all. This is not planned. So let's get into this one.
Yes, ma'am. So they at least want everyone in the organization to be 21 years old. So everyone who's borrowing, they want you to be 21. They want you to be a permanent resident of the U.S. They do allow visas and green cards and things of that sort, or at least be in the process for. So they're very unrestricted to the most extent that they can be legally. So that's what I love about it, because that lenience is something that we definitely need. And that kind of really shows that they're trying to reach out to everyone. So this next bullet about it being in the 13 states, this is copied directly from one of the CDFIs. So that 13 states will only be applied to that bank. So that bullet is going to be different as you read through each CDFI. So don't be deterred by that. So all the activity must be legal and licensed. So that goes back to the articles and registration with the Secretary of State and your EIN letter. They want to make sure that everything is on the up and up. And in regards to the purpose of the loan, so working capital purposes, that right there checks off every box. So because working capital can be used for whatever you want it to be used for, as long as it's legal, you're good to go. So vehicles, advertising, business acquisitions, equipment and inventory. A lot of our government contractors use that working capital for that reason. So being in business for at least 6 months, again, this is one of those direct for the ACE loans. This is one of their requirements. So that will vary depending on the institution, as well as the collateral must be located in the state where the business is located. Again, all of these requirements vary per bank. So when you go on to the Bank of America website, it literally lists it right down below. Once you click it, it'll show all the requirements just like this is listed out here. Let's see. The one thing I did want to mention was that last line. So customers must have limited access or no access to conventional forms of business or bank credit. So that means limited being a small business owner. They really make sure that this is for something just for us, something that it won't be, overwhelmed or burnt out by larger corporations. They have set aside these funds just for small business owners. So as long as we can get registered and get equipped and tapped into the systems that's there, the money's there for us.
Got it. Okay, so most CDFIs will be able to provide this level of funding for your small business.
Yes.
Okay, and then in terms of like I've heard a little bit about CDFI interest rates. How do they compare to like the markets?
CDFI interests are usually much lower than a normal interest rate. And nowadays it really is fluctuating on the higher end.
Okay.
So CDFIs have traditionally always been much lower, which is great because it'll keep our payments lower.
Yes.
Payments.
Okay. I know we have another question in the chat. Okay, she was just asking. She just showed up. She was trying to figure out what was going on. Okay, so can we go back to what type of documentation you'll need to apply for a loan, just to get another look at those documents real quick? Okay.
Yes.
So for the SBA loans, can you tell us a little bit more about the SBA? Do you have a slide about this?
I don't.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about the SBA loans as well?
So SBA, they're very thorough in regards to understanding your financial backings, because again, they want to make sure that the loans are being provided to individuals that truly need them. So they have, in addition to this list of the owner finance sheet, it goes really into depth about all of your assets, all of the payments that you're making right now. And the SBA loans kind of look at you and the business. So that's going to be one of our products that really take into account all of your information, you as a whole, because they lend based off of you as a whole, not just what your numbers look like. So having all of your federal things taken care of, and by that I mean all of your taxes, just your taxes, having your taxes taken care of. They will definitely ask for a copy of that, as well as your business information, so your EIN letter and your articles, and your bank statements to look at your cash flow, because they want to make sure that you don't have thousands sitting in the bank and you're asking for a loan, because technically you wouldn't, need it.
Okay. I mean, if I got 10,000, I need a $400,000 contract.
Now that's different.
Oh, okay. I'm like, hey guys, work with me. Okay, I'm just kidding. But okay. If you have questions, make sure you go ahead and drop them in the chat. And I'm gonna let her walk us through the remainder of the presentation, this lovely presentation that she's created for us.
I actually think we are winding down to the end. So I'm definitely going to, if they have any more questions, that's just my contact information. So definitely, that's it.
All right. So tell them a little bit more about you and the work that you do, and then also how they can reach out to get some information about how to access capital.
Okay. So just a little bit of background about me. I actually started in the real estate world a while ago as an investor. I love just everything about the buying process and flipping and whatnot. So we acquired a couple of different properties. And eventually we decided to start teaching because so many people were interested, and it just felt nice to be able to share my journey with other individuals. So I created a first-time homeowners course because a lot of people had no idea how to even get started. And I've always had a passion to kind of reduce the racial wealth gap between us and everyone else. And real estate is definitely one avenue that can take you there without as much effort as, working just diligently and hard every day. So that's kind of where I started, and I slowly entered into the government contracting world. Just learning different aspects of it. I started out selling school supplies, and I eventually merged my real estate world and teaching and education and consulting into local government contracting, where I work with the city levels, doing consulting work, and doing commercial cleanings, just being a source. Whatever they needed, I was trying to figure out a way to find it. So with that came a huge network. And as my network grew, I grew. and entered into the commercial space of government contracting. So that's where we are now. And I absolutely love it. It keeps me busy, but I absolutely love it.
Oh, someone brought back the bankruptcy question. Nikita, she's asking about the bankruptcy question.
I believe it said within a year.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as it's not within the most recent year, you're good. But again, that's going to vary depending on your bank that you're applying with or the group that you're applying with, because of course, traditionally banks have a lot of requirements and a lot of stipulations in regards to bankruptcy and other negative things in your credit report. So any sort of liens like that. But CDFIs range. So there are commercial lending groups within CDFIs and banks. So you really just kind of got to do a little digging to find which ones will be a little bit more lenient.
And I'll add to that, definitely, like she said, everyone's going to have different requirements. So the same way you have that question for us, interview and vet these like these people that are providing you capital, because you're entering into a relationship with them. So ask these questions, vet them before you decide to get in bed with these people. Like make sure you understand every single aspect of what's gonna happen if I give you this money. Like what are you expecting, right? So ask those questions ahead of time, and if you have to go to multiple different people, do that. But ask the questions before you start submitting documentation or paperwork or letting them run your credit. Don't listen to me because that will take that will hit your points. Someone's asking for the speaker's info. Would you mind sharing that screen again? And I'll also add her information into the description box as well, so you can reach out. And then also you said that you were flipping homes. Do you currently provide capital for investors who are looking to I seen you starting to move on?
Yes, I got excited because that's one of the things I'm really truly passionate about, is providing opportunities to other individuals. And it's the reason why we started coaching, the reason why I kind of got into the commercial lending space. But one of the reasons why, because there were so many times that we went to the bank, and although our credit score was on point, and they're like, "Oh, you're new. No, we're not going to lend you money. Oh, you're too risky." And I'm like, I have did everything, checked every box. So becoming a commercial lender and merging that into the coaching side of things allowed me to not only show you exactly what you need to do, but also provide you that capital. So I provide funds for any purchases, refinances, new construction, let's see, just honestly working capital, whatever your project is, we can talk about it. And I'm pretty sure we have a product that can meet your need.
Good. All right. I know y'all heard that. I'm coming back to you in 3 years because I'm ready to buy my shopping center in 3 years. All right. That's my new goal. I want to give me some commercial real estate now. Give me a shopping center.
I don't know if people realize how much commercial real estate, the income from it. If you can fix and flip a house, you can definitely do a commercial building. It is not much difference in regards to the amount of effort you put into it, but the numbers are drastically different.
Yeah, and real different.
If you can build something up from the ground up, definitely look into commercial spaces because it's just easier. It's much easier.
I'm with it. Okay, if y'all don't have any more questions for her, we are going to wrap this one up. Again, this was a short segment, something to really just spark, some creative juices going, and also just help you understand that you're not in this alone, and there are opportunities to access capital to get into this space and to get into any other space. I always talk a lot about government contracting because that's what our focus is. But on that same token, you can use this capital to just grow and build your business in general. So even if you don't decide to, even if you decide not to go after government contracting opportunities, that's why we're doing these new special segments, because this is for every business who, is looking to build, grow, and be able to provide, whether it's access to capital. We have someone who's going to come in and talk about employee benefits and things like that within the next, week or two. So make sure you like this video so other people can see it, comment if you have questions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to have access to more conversations like this. So a lot more opportunities for general business information coming out. And thank you so much.
Yeah.
I know it was like super last minute. I'm like, hey girl.
No, I was excited. So I'm very thankful.
Good. Definitely happy you were on here. We'll see you all in the next interview. And again, don't forget, we'll have the information in the description box. And just let us know what you thought about this episode. So yeah, so we can keep figuring out, we're gonna keep doing stuff like this. Someone said, oh yeah, I need all of that. So I'm selling products to the federal government. Okay. Any suggestions? We actually have an episode on government coins, Nikita, about selling products to the government. So definitely go and check that one out. I think it was in like season 2, where Hamza came and he was talking about it. So yeah, definitely gonna do this, growing that team. So yeah, all right, y'all. Well, I'll see you. Peace. We'll see you in the next episode.